I want to begin by focusing on this proposed cut of over $300 million to the University of Wisconsin system. That is an unacceptable number. Entirely too big of a cut, too devastating of a cut. Too much damage will be done to our fine universities, not only in this city, but in cities across the state of Wisconsin, including our capital city of Madison. I think perhaps Chancellor Bernie Patterson said it best when I recently read a quote of his, that he talks about how at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, our fine campus alone, state funding under the proposal from Governor Walker to the state legislature would decline in the next 2 years to an amount not seen since most of the current students were born, according to the Chancellor. It also appears as if the students are being forced to pay for more than $1 billion in income and property tax cuts, according to State Representative Katrina Shanklin. I agree with that position. Now, Shanklin also recently noted in a meeting that I had with the state representative that Wisconsin could have saved up to $500 million if it had accepted the federal revenue to expand Wisconsin's Badger Care program under the Affordable Care Act. Now, Wisconsin right now, by the way, is the last state in the Midwest not to accept that type of federal revenue. But what I'd like to do today is speak to you as a father and as a grandfather. Certainly, Chancellor Patterson and his team, including Greg Deemer, the Vice Chancellor Provost, are in a much better position to detail to the community, to the county, to the region, why these cuts are too deep and will hurt an extremely fine university here in Stevens Point. They're far more qualified to talk about that than I am. But what I really would like to do is to address you as a parent and a grandparent today for just a moment on Community Focus. Certainly, as you think about the future of education with these cuts, the cost of going to school for many of your children, many of your grandchildren, is going to be out of reach. Gone will be the dream of a university education taught primarily in Stevens Point by a candidate or by a professor with a PhD, because the tuition, because of more and more and more reductions in state aid, are going to negatively impact the quality of education. So as parents and grandparents, we need to be mindful that as that small child or that small grandchild grows up and wants an education in the university system, it may be out of reach because of decisions that are being made today in the state legislature. I urge any parent, any grandparent to contact State Representative Shanklin, State Senator Julie Lassa, contact the governor's office, contact any member of the state legislature, and tell them that a $300 million cut is too deep, too devastating. And it's ironic that these cuts come at a time that the governor is talking about a $220 million amount of money for a new Bucks arena. And I love basketball. I've played basketball in my life, not against the basketball or the Bucks. I think it's also ironic that it comes at a time where the governor is talking about another $1.2 billion in borrowing for transportation projects. Borrowing money is not free money. You have to pay that back. So people who say, well, there's no immediate tax impact, that really isn't accurate. I mean, we know that if you borrow money from the bank, you're going to have to pay it back.